In the early years of the 19th century, New York was a city defined less by what it was and more by what it was becoming. It did not yet dominate the continent, nor did it pretend to. Instead, it existed in a state of constant tension, balance between ambition and uncertainty. Those who lived within its borders sensed that they were standing inside a process rather than a finished place. The harbor shaped everything. It was the city's greatest strength and its constant reminder of the wider world. Ships daily bringing cargo and news that traveled faster than any horse could carry it inland. With each vessel came unfamiliar accents, different customs, and stories of distant lands. The ocean did not separate New York from the world, it connected it. The city listened closely to what the water delivered. From the shoreline, the city pressed inward through crowded streets that bore little symmetry or order. These roads had grown organically, shaped by trade routes, property boundaries, and habit rather than design. Buildings leaned close to one another, constructed of brick and wood, some solid, others temporary in spirit. Fire was a constant fear, yet flame was ever burning in hearths, workshops, forges, and lamps. The city survived by controlling danger without ever eliminating it. Sound was a permanent presence. The city spoke through iron striking iron, through wheels grinding against stone, through voiced in negotiation, argument, or labor. Silence was rare and often unsettling. Noise meant work, trade, movement. The city continued to function. To live in New York was to accept that quiet belonged elsewhere. Its people were as varied as its sounds. Merchants, laborers, sailors, craftsmen, enslaved individuals, immigrants. And though into the city, all shared the same narrow streets while living vastly different lives. Wealth displayed itself openly, in fine coats and confident posture. Poverty was equally visible, carried in worn clothing and tired eyes. Inequality was not hidden. It was woven into the structure of daily existence. Commerce governed nearly every aspect of life. Goods moved constantly from ship to warehouse, from market to home. Deals were struck quickly, sometimes honestly, sometimes not. Success could arrive suddenly and vanish just as fast. Fortune in New York was unstable, and that instability drove both relentless ambition and deep anxiety. To remain still was to fall behind. Public spaces served as more than centers of trade. Taverns and meeting halls became places where ideas were exchanged as fiercely as goods. Political discussion was unavoidable. The nation itself was young, still defining its identity, and many believed cities like New York would determine its future. Opinions hardened quickly. Arguments were frequent and rarely quiet. Words carried weight, and disagreements could shape reputations. As the day progressed, the rhythm of the city shifted without slowing. Near the docks, labor continued with little regard for time. Inland, workshops and shops maintained their steady output. Information traveled rapidly through conversation, often faster than through print. A single story could change tone and meaning as it passed from mouth to mouth, blending fact with interpretation. Toward evening, light softened and shadows lengthened across the streets. The city did not grow calmer, it grew more complex. Work transitioned into gathering. Taverns filled, voices grew louder, and the boundaries between celebration and confrontation blurred. Respectability gave way to something more honest and less controlled. Night revealed the city's sharper edges. Lamps cast uneven light, leaving wide areas of darkness untouched. Watchmen patrolled, though order depended as much on custom and caution as on authority. Those who lived here learned to read the city instinctively, where to walk, when to speak, when to remain unnoticed. Knowledge of the streets was knowledge of survival. Yet the night also carried a sense of freedom. Roles loosened. Conversations deepened. Music drifted from open doors. The strict structure of daylight dissolved into something unpredictable. In those hours, the city seemed closer to its true nature, unpolished, restless, alive. Above all, New York carried a feeling of momentum. Buildings rose where open ground had existed only years before. Streets extended. Populace swelled. Change was not an event, but a permanent condition. No one could fully imagine what the city would become, but many believed it would matter. That belief sustained people through hardship and uncertainty. New York did not offer comfort. It offered possibility, though never equally and never without cost. It demanded endurance, adaptability, and a willingness to within constant change. Many failed. Some succeeded. Most simply endured, contributing knowingly to something larger than themselves. This was New York at the beginning of the century, a city not defined by completion but by insistence. It moved forward relentlessly, shaped by pressure, conflict, and hope. A living place, unfinished and unapologetic, already carrying the weight of a future it had not yet seen. Time in the city moved in layers rather than in clear divisions. 1 hour rarely ended cleanly before the next began. Activities overlapped, and the boundaries between work, discussion, and observation remained blurred. Did not pause to reflect on itself. It advanced through accumulation. Each action, however small, added weight to the whole. Religion, tradition, and social order attempted to impose structure on this movement, but none fully succeeded. Churches stood prominently, their bells marking time, yet the rhythm of the streets often ignored them. Moral authority competed constantly with economic necessity. Survival required compromise, and ideals bent easily under pressure. Education and refinement existed, though unevenly distributed. Some residents spoke confidently of literature, philosophy, and science, while others learned only what labor demanded. Knowledge traveled unevenly, by access rather than curiosity. Still, ideas found their way into unexpected places, carried through conversation rather than institutions. The city also carried memory. Older residents spoke of earlier decades when the streets were fewer and the pace slower. These recollections clashed with the reality unfolding around them. New York did not preserve its past carefully. It built over it. Structures disappeared, neighborhoods shifted, and familiar paths vanished beneath new ones. Continuity existed, but it was fragile. Conflict was never far away. Economic pressure, political disagreement, and cultural difference created constant friction, yet open rarely came. Instead, the city absorbed tension and continued forward. Disputes resolved themselves not through harmony, but through endurance. For those living within it, New York demanded attention. One could not drift passively for long without consequence. Awareness was necessary of people, of movement, of opportunity and risk. The city rewarded those who adapted quickly and punished hesitation. And yet, beneath all of this, there remained a shared understanding that this place mattered. It mattered not because it was comfortable or fair, but because it concentrated possibility. New York gathered human effort and multiplied it, producing outcomes no single individual could create alone. What emerged from these years was not merely a settlement or a port, but a force. A city shaped by constant arrival, constant pressure, and constant transformation. Those who passed through it left marks, even if they never realized it.